Welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian fishing podcast hosted by Rohdeys and Diz. The boys will share their tall tales of the one that got away, as well as some regular segments they know all you fishing tragics will enjoy.
G'day guys and welcome to episode 72 of All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian fishing podcast. Rohdeys, it's great to be with you. We've got an excellent guest lined up today, Ollie Wood from Ollie's Squidding. We're going to talk with him later on today. He does a great job on the socials, but he's a gun fisho on the cephalopods. Rohdeys, good to be here with you, mates. How are you?
Diz, mate, I am very good. Always good to be here, having a frothy and chatting fishing with you, Diz. And we're coming off a big weekend of fishing.
We are. We had a great day out, and we won't. You know, I'm sure anybody who follows us on the socials seen that we had a pretty good day out, and the weather was lovely. It was a great day, but I'll let you have the glory there, Rohdeys, for the orange.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say, Diz, that was my orange. We had a ripping day out. Big thanks to Andrew Harris, who we have had on the podcast a couple of times now. He took us out in his beautiful North Bank.
Lovely boat. Launched
off Cape Jarvis, caught a few tuna out in Baxter's Passage, went down to KI and got into some king, snapper, plenty of fish. We will go into that in the fishing report, Diz, but
yes,
our day out with Harry was an absolute highlight.
It was epic, and I'm not sure whether you were trying to put people off the scent there. We didn't launch at Cape Jarvis. We did, in fact, launch at Warina, but we were fishing off Cape Jarvis.
I was close, I know.
Nonetheless, when we get to the specifics later, maybe we'll leave that up to me. I'll roll into my orange, Rohdeys. It's definitely been the video from KJ Fishing, Chris. It was great to have him out on the boat. He was excellent. We learned a few things. He was a great guy, and he put up an epic clip on his page, and he's been kind enough to share it with us. Of course, give him a follow, KJ Fishing. Fantastic guy, and like I say, great at his craft, Rohdeys.
Yeah, and he's a cinematographer by trade, so it was great to pick up some tips about where you put the camera, what you look for, all that sort of stuff. He really worked the angles and did all that, and he did put together that reel that you should all jump on our Instagram and have a look at.
Absolutely, Rohdeys. I'll roll into my lemon, and it's certainly going to be that we're very jealous this time of year. People get a bit of extended leave. They have a couple of extra weeks, and they get into some fishing, or they'll have a bit of extra time around the house, whatever it might be that they're up to. And meanwhile, us suckers are back at work.
Diz, it's not ideal, is it?
Nah, it's not great. It's not great. What's been your lemon, mate?
Nah, it's not good at all, Diz. My lemon's going to be, look, we had a ripping day out, but the first 5 minutes of my morning at 3:15, that was an early start.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
I came good pretty quick.
Probably not the worst shout.
Probably the first 5 minutes took it out of me. So I probably got to your house and picked you up.
I think sort of setting the alarm was a bit intimidating, looking at that sort of 5 hours sleep mark.
Particularly when we had a 30th lunch the day before. Yeah. We did sort of behave ourselves on the midi, so could have been worse, Diz.
Yeah, we did. All right, excellent. Good to get through the oranges and lemons, Rohdeys. Let's just rip in, because we've got a fair bit to get through today's episode with news and having Ollie's Fishing on. But before we get into any of that, we should, of course, talk about our summer comp and giveaway. The entries do, of course, end at the end of this month. We've picked the 29th of Jan. So far, we've had a huge amount of entries. It's been fantastic to see everybody getting out on the water or sharing, an old photo that they might have tucked away in the camera reel or whatever it is. But there's 2 epic prizes, of course, the 2 reels, nothing but the best Shimano. We've got a Sustain 4000 XG. We've got a Vanford 3000 HG, some fantastic reels amongst a whole range of other merch from some fantastic SA suppliers in Cholso Hard Lures, Savage Tackle, ourselves. It's epic, Rohdeys.
Diz, the prizes are amazing, and some of the entries have been great. It's been shared extensively, I would say. So there's lots of entrants already. It does run until the end of the Australia Day long weekend. I think it's January 29th.
Yep.
So you've still got time to get in, get your entries in, and put yourself in the draw.
And we're probably expecting a few entries around the Australia Day public holiday. People, no doubt, booking a day of annual leave between that, booking that Friday after Australia Day on the 26th, so they might even call in sick if they want to do the wrong thing. I'm certainly not advocating for that. I hate people who call in sick. But nonetheless, I'm expecting a few that weekend, Rohdy.
A few people to call in sick at the pharmacy or a few people to enter the prize?
Bit of both. Bit of both. Bit of both.
All good, Diz. All right, let's keep moving and let's get into our fishing report. Our fishing news. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun there, Diz.
Yeah, we shouldn't get into the report, mate. That'd be throwing all the listeners out there into an absolute spin because they know that we hook into the news now, and I'm going to open us up. So the river is now back open to land-based fishing, which is good news for those who like flicking lures or flicking a bait out to catch some fish.
It is, Diz, and you can even fish from a boat in some parts of the Murray now. I don't know if you've caught up with this. They've split the Murray up into 8 zones. So they're separated by locks 1 to 5 is, I think, the first 5 zones. And there's a separate zone for Lake Bonny, another one from the Blanchetown to Wellington stretch, and then a final one from the Wellington to the Murray Mouth stretch. And this is quite smart, Diz, because obviously as the floodwaters peak in different parts of the river, the conditions aren't going to be the same across the whole South Australian part of the Murray, are they?
Yeah, no.
So this allows them to change the rules as time goes on, as the sort of safety or the risk in a particular part of the river changes. Diz?
Yes. No, I like it. I like that it's been quite swift to allow activity back on the river.
Yeah.
I'm glad that this isn't sort of like a blanket ban that was just going to sit there for months on end.
Which it was originally.
Well, it obviously was a blanket ban, but sometimes those things sort of stick around for a little bit longer than you might think is sensible. And obviously we'd be strong advocates for people to continue to take the necessary precautions that they should while they're on the river. Clearly there's going to be debris and that sort of thing floating down the river no matter where you are, and there's going to be a significant change in conditions. So, of course, be cautious, but good news that you can get back out there and enjoy some time on the water.
And yeah, Diz, so a few sort of won't go to all the specifics because this is going to change as the river peaks. They'll release sort of updated rules. But at the moment, so for example, most of the river, you're not allowed to exceed 4 knots between sunrise and sunset. Plus you have to stay away from locks and weirs and swimmers and all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But interestingly, down river of Wellington, so down the bottom end, you can fish from a boat or a vessel and you can exceed 4 knots between sunrise and sunset. So it's letting those people down at, Gore and Hindmarsh Island and things like that do what they want to do. Lake Bonny's the same. You are allowed to exceed 4 knots in Lake Bonny. But I did see there's also an algal bloom. So that's something else to keep care of in Lake Bonny.
Yes, absolutely. Brilliant, Rohdy. Thanks for staying across that. I guess while we're on that subject, Rohdy, we should, of course, talk about all the fresh water down there. There's been some stunning shots recently of people flying over the top.
Yep.
Wherever that might be, whether it is in the Riverland or down at the mouth. But the mouth at the moment, seeing that fresh water, out into the ocean, seeing how we even witnessed firsthand how much it changed the colour in the passage there. It was just this sort of really distinct green colour, wasn't it?
It made the water look shallower almost, didn't it? It just didn't quite...
Yeah, it didn't quite look right.
But there's that amazing picture and video of the water where it goes from like a beautiful dark blue to brown. And it's just a straight line.
Yes.
Out from a plane. And I was actually talking to someone, Diz, who's been out there flying, and he said it's well past Sanders Bank.
Yeah, it's
and
amazing,
sort of wrapping all the way around KI, and there's a lot of dirty water out there, Diz.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing to see how this affects, the fish and all those sort of how long it stays around, all those, because you'd think we still got a lot of water to come.
We certainly do, Diz, and I suppose related to that, there has been, I've read on the Advertiser website, there was a heap of dead sea creatures found around Port Elliott. So they've talked about octopuses, sea slugs, sea cucumbers and fish were all washed up along sort of Basham Beach and around Port Elliott Way. And they're talking about most of the animals that were washed up. So, your sea slugs, your sea cucumbers, things like that, they don't really have the ability to swim off like a fish does.
Yes.
So they're sort of sitting ducks, I suppose.
Yeah, and I mean, they're just going to, that rapid change in environment isn't going to suit them, is it?
And did you see the picture? There was so much stuff blown up on the beach, like washed up on the beach. So I suppose the dirty water just kills it all. And then when the tide goes or the current goes in a particular way, it all blows up onto one particular area.
Yeah, it's crazy. Excellent, Rohdy. All right, well, thanks for staying across that. I guess while we're on the subject of that sort of overhead shots from planes and those sorts of things, there's been some stunning footage, photos I should say, released of an enormous school of bronzies just smashing some bait fish and tuna.
Yeah, Diz, that was thanks to Luke Stevens on Instagram. So he shared the post originally with Recfish SA, I think, and then they posted it and then it sort of went viral from there. But that's an amazing picture, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. And I think it might have been the Recfish post. You know, imagine just thinking that you're driving up to a busting up school of tuna and, oh, man, there was some serious amount of sharks there.
Well, you remember doing that on Gav's boat on KI Fishing Adventures, thinking we were heading up to a school of tuna and there was probably 6 or 7 sharks busting up?
Yeah.
Imagine seeing 100 or however many 100 there is. It's nuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's
crazy.
a really cool bit of footage too.
And yeah, clearly not just bronzies or the other ones, but certainly the people in the know have suggested that it was predominantly bronze whaler sharks.
Yeah. All right, Diz, let's keep it moving. Let's get into the state spearfishing competition, Diz.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is something that we have talked about on the show in the past, of course, when we had the Skin Divers Club on the show, and it was probably, it was not too far around this time of year, I guess. Amazing comp. They get a lot of people, and I wish I knew the episode number at hand, but if you flick through our episode reel, you'll be able to find it. But they've got them coming up, Rohdy, this weekend, I believe, 14th and 15th.
Yeah, correct, Diz.
And it's on the Flurio.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things they don't set it's like a surf comp, like they don't set an exact location until they know the weather.
Yeah, I mean, I think they sort of pick a broad range of areas and then no doubt on their channels they sort of say, look, we're all going to be diving from here because the weather's looking good or whatever. So, yeah, that'll be good. And they'll clearly be looking for clear water. They won't be going for the murky green stuff. No,
they certainly won't, Diz. And, again, not something we do a lot of. It's something I'd like to do more of, bit of diving and spearing. But we're very interested and we'll be keeping an eye on the results and some of the cool stuff they catch.
Absolutely. A bit more to report on next episode for that, Rohdy. And another news topic, obviously, we follow very closely Lee Van Soest's work in the Reeling In Junior Anglers Ambassador program. She does a fantastic job with the juniors there. And applications are, of course, open now for the Ambassador.
Yeah, they are, Diz. So you jump on the website, Reeling In Junior Anglers. You have to be a member, or your kid has to be a member of Reeling In Junior Anglers program. So jump on the website. Kids must be between 7 and 16. And obviously into their fishing, and the state's sort of broken up into, I think it's 7 different zones, so they have one representative from each zone. And those 7 kids that are lucky enough to be chosen will receive $250 worth of fishing equipment by Shimano, which is a great prize, Diz.
Oh, it's a fantastic prize, and I mean, even better than the Shimano gear, Rohdy, nothing but the best in that regard, which is good. So anybody who's lucky enough to get that will be able to go out and treat themselves to something nice.
Yeah, so I think you jump on, you put your pictures up on the on your application, and you put in a brief little bit of some words about why you should be chosen as the ambassador.
Yeah, and Lee just sort of flicks through all the applications. I bet just seriously passionate, fantastic fisho, and always worthy recipients. I reckon.
Yeah, and we've had 2 of the ambassadors on. We had Jai in 2021 and we had Cadell in 2022.
Yep.
And I can't see any reason why we couldn't snag one of the 2023 group to come on the show at some stage in the next 12 months.
I'm sure that'd be good. That'd be excellent, Rohdy. All right, mate. Well, that just about wraps up all the news, I think, for this week.
It does, Diz. Let's keep moving and let's move on to the guest, Diz.
Yes, of course. Ollie's squid fishing. Let's get him on the line. All right, Rohdy, very lucky now to be joined by the man behind Ollie's Squidding, and of course it is Ollie Wood. Fantastic to have you on the show, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, Ollie, we've been watching your social media, Instagram, plenty of squid, plenty of fish, and we wanted to hear all about it, mate. So we want to start off by you telling us about your best fish.
No worries.
Or squid, sorry.
Yeah. I was about to say it's more of a cephalopod than a fish, but probably I managed to crack the magic 40 mark, 40 centimetre hood mark over at KI last year. So
Nice.
yeah, cracked a 40 centimetre hood on the dot, just near Kingscote Jetty. I was pretty disappointed when I went over there that it was under repairs, so I couldn't fish land based. But
Yeah.
lucky I brought the yak over and managed to crack a nice one. But yeah, more fishy, I guess. I managed to get a land based kingy a couple of years ago on one of my squidding rods after sort of losing, I reckon, about 8 fish that day. So yeah, they're pretty smart, those things, and they got me around the pylon because I was a bit undergunned on the old rod and reel.
Geez, we caught some kingies on the weekend and they were pulling line off our big jigging rods. So I'd hate to see one on a squid rod, but whereabouts was that?
That was at Port Hughes.
Yeah, beautiful.
Probably about, when they had that massive kingy sort of escape up north? Yeah, there was just a massive ball of them, and for some reason, the one day that I was up there, they just were switched on and they were hitting pretty much everything under the sun. So, yeah, I reckon I went for a dive there a few weeks later too, just to see what's sort of around and pick up some of the squid jigs that are on the bottom. And, I reckon I saw about 3 or 4 of them with, like, lures in their mouths. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty hectic.
Yeah, amazing. Mate, that's awesome. What's your favourite thing about fishing?
Yeah, I've been a listener of the show for a little bit, so and I hear a lot of the answers being around like the outdoorsy sort of side of it and sort of being outside. So I wanted to think about something, I guess, a little bit deeper and sort of what makes my cogs turn and what gets me really excited about fishing. And I guess like just constantly learning and trying new things is something that just gets me really excited. And then seeing a sort of a process of maybe 3 or 4 sessions of experimenting just come together. And yeah, obviously being out there and connecting with fish is great, but that whole thrill of the chase, I guess, is something that really makes me excited.
I suppose as with a lot of things in life, it's sort of the challenge of it really, isn't it? Overcoming a challenge or doing something new. Yeah,
exactly right. And I think like if it was easy all the time, it would get a bit boring. So yeah, it's just, the tough days what make the good days even better.
Exactly right. Ollie, you've summed it up there, mate. Now tell us about your first fishing memory or how you got into it.
Yeah, so I've got a few fishing memories, but I guess my dad and my nonno, I'm half Italian, so I was lucky enough to fish a fair bit with him back when he was alive. So my first fish at Grange Jetty, it was a garfish back in the day. I reckon I was probably about 3 years old. And I've got very sort of fragmented memories of that day, but just managing to pull up, I reckon I only got 1 or 2. That was, meant the world to me back in the day, and I'm lucky enough to have a photo with that. It might be up on my Instagram page. I'm not too sure. It's probably a fair while ago now.
Yeah, there's some you never sort of forget some of those times, do you? Like, I mean, for me, it was when we grew up near West Lakes. So it was always like going down and catching brim in West Lakes. And some of those like early memories just really stick with you. So it's, good to hear, mate, walking the planks down at Grange. Catching a gar's not too bad down there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago, so I'm not too sure if they get them down there still.
Yeah, that's it. Ollie, tell us your this will probably be an obvious one, but tell us your favourite sort of fishing, mate, and give us a bit of a reason why.
Yeah, no, I always love walking the planks. There's a certain challenge about it, sort of knowing that you're not sort of guaranteed to be catching lots of stuff off the planks, but yeah, land-based squidding is something that just draws me back every time. And sort of recently it's been, I've managed to sort of save up and buy a new kayak. And just fishing off that has been a real great experience to me. But yeah, it's just squidding has been something that's been really kind to me. Just visually seeing squid sort of boost up and hit your jig from like 15 metres away, it's pretty cool. And yeah, I guess it's just that excitement from the visual aspect that really draws me in.
Yeah, no, I love that, seeing them, but there's nothing worse than seeing them and then them not touching your lure.
Yeah.
Isn't that the most frustrating thing when they go right up to it, look at it, smell it, think about it?
Yeah, it's even worse when they get their candles out and they touch it and then they go back and then they come back and they touch it and then they come back, and it's just like, why won't this thing eat?
Yeah, just smash it already. And like those days where you can just see a whole like school of them just coming into a lure, you know it's going to be on, and then they get a bit flighty. Yeah. It's just, it can be so frustrating seeing them. But I guess that's like anything with sight fishing. You know, you sort of sometimes can see them, and maybe sometimes when you can't, it sort of, you know, adds a different element, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Ollie, Dizzy's not the greatest squid fisherman, but even he caught 3 in a row. You know when they follow him up and you get one and then you quickly flick the lure back in, get another one and then get another one. So Dizzy did a triple on the weekend. So watch out. Right. He'll be telling you how good he is in a minute.
Oh, yeah. Was that off the boat, was it? Or?
Yeah, it was good. We were fishing off the Cape, and we were just sort of hoping to get a few for some liveys actually, and yeah, gosh, just next minute they were on, and we just got the triple, went bang, 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 and the first probably 3 or 4 casts I got nothing, and everyone started heckling me and telling me I was no good, and but no, it was all good. It was a good day out. All right, Ollie, we best get through the last one here, mate. The funniest fishing story you've got, or tell us about the one that got away.
I think like a lot of fishermen, there's probably lots of good fish that have got away, but I've got what I find a pretty funny story. So this is back when I reckon I was about probably 7 or 8 years old, and I remember this day vividly. Me and Dad, we love to do our flats fishing, so we got up nice and early and managed to drive down to one of the metro beaches here, and sort of made our way walking down the beach, and just noticed this random like tent that was just sitting on the beach, and it's quite odd. I'm not sure if you have walked many metro beaches in your time, but there's not often just a random tent just sitting in there.
No.
So we go out, and the tent's pretty conveniently placed next to where we usually fish. So we go out, we're wading in probably waist deep water, I'd say about 20 meters from the shore, and there's not much happening with the fishing, but in the tent there's a bit of movement, and we're sort of, me and Dad, looking at each other a bit perplexed, and all of a sudden out comes, I reckon it would have to be like an overseas tourist, just in sort of swimming bottoms, no swimming top, so completely topless, comes out, sort of has a morning dip in the water, and Dad seems to think that the fish were biting a bit closer to her, so makes his way over, and then lo and behold, out comes a second topless swimmer in the morning on a busy metropolitan beach. So yeah, it was quite an interesting morning, but Dad always says that he knew that I was hooked on fishing just by me not caring, or maybe that's because I was 8 years old too. But
oh, that's excellent, mate. With that tops a fair few stories, I'd say. We've had some good ones, but that's certainly right up there. Ollie, fantastic, mate. Thank you for those 5 questions. Let's get into a bit more of, I suppose, the specific fishing that you like to do, and some of the really great traction and stuff you've got on your social channels. So I guess a lot of it seems to be, and is obviously focused around squidding. What is it specifically, maybe other than what we've already talked about, that you just love about it? Is it sort of all the different gear you can have, the challenge of it? What is it specifically about squidding?
Well, it's, I guess, one of the most accessible sort of forms of fishing that we have here in South Australia. There's not too many sort of jetties over York and Eyre Peninsula, and even sort of metropolitan coastlines that you can't catch a humble calamari. And it's something that's really quite easy to target land-based, and you can have some fantastic success. And I guess it's, you can make it as simple or as complex as you want in terms of gear, and it's something that I obviously have a lot of time for, and have my own sort of rods and squidding rods that I use that are purpose built, and it's something that's really, really cool. And you can make it, as I said, as simple as complex as you like.
You're certainly right about that. You can get the specific rods and the expensive lures, or you can go as simple as you like. So that is something great about it. We do want to ask you a bit about the gear. Now, I think Dizzy's old man's completely brainwashed the two of us into believing that the Yozuri Redhead is the best jig in the world. Is that what you'd go to, or what's your go-to lure?
Yeah, look, back in the day, I reckon when I first started getting into squidding, my nonna told me that this old school Redhead Yozuri, not the mesh one, it's like the nude one was the best
exactly
thing that you ever use. But like, to be honest, I think it's not necessarily the jig, but the way you work it. Squid, as you might know, are colourblind.
Yeah.
So, like all these people ranting and raving about colours, I think is a bit off. I tend to match my squid jig with the brightness of the day. So whether it's a dull day, I might use a dull jig, or a bright day, I'll use a bright jig, because it looks most natural in the water column. But my go-to colours, I suppose, to answer your question, I think white is my all-round favourite. Any sort of jig with a bit of white on it, or any jig that's green and has that sort of contrast to it as well, and patterns that sort of match the bait fish that you're targeting, not necessarily colours. I think that's something that you should really look into in terms if you want to boost your squidding.
Fantastic, mate. And in terms of lure sizes, do you have any sort of any suggestions for our listeners out there? Is it again just trying to match the bait fish that you sort of suspect would be in the area, or is it sort of small squid, small jags, big squid, big jags? What's your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, it's I tend to sort of match my squid jig size with the desired sort of sink rate that I would like. If the water's a lot deeper with more current, I'm going to use a squid jig that's larger because it's got more weight.
Yeah.
And likewise, if it's quite shallow water with not a lot of current, I might use a size 2.5 or a 3.0. But in terms of your sizes, 3.0 is the most universal. I fish with that anywhere from 1.5 meters of water up to sort of 5.5 meters. Just obviously varying the sink time that I allow it to drop down into the depths. But matching the hatch, I suppose, in terms of size can be quite good. But I find if the squid are timid, I'll use a smaller sort of profile, so a smaller jig.
Yeah.
And if I'm targeting sort of bigger calamari, I might throw a 3.5 or a larger jig to try and suit their feeding behaviour if they want to target bigger baits. But I suppose it's the same with all your other lure fishing. You sort of find a jig and a size that works for you on the day, and you stick with it.
And have you ever, I've seen like various, I suppose, adaptations on the squid jig. You see some people run it on a paternoster rig to get it right down the bottom, or sometimes I've seen people rig two of them on the one line to make it look like a big fish is chasing a small fish. Have you tried anything like that?
Yeah, look, I like to keep it pretty simple with my squidding.
Yeah.
I don't sort of muck around with the natural sink rates of the squid jig. I don't tend to fish waters deep enough to need me to add a bit of extra weight to it. But like the natural sort of sink rate, it's the jig's supposed to sink like quite slowly, so the squid have time to sort of like make their mind up and hit the jig. Because at the end of the day, it's a natural sort of imitation of a fleeing bait fish or a fleeing prawn, and that's why you have that sort of darting action that you get from sort of working the lure. It makes it actually quite nice to watch. And I have always salmon, even kingfish come up and hit my squid jig over a sort of a plastic or a metal lure or whatever, because it looks so much more natural in the water column. So
fantastic, mate. And look, I think that would be a good sort of topic for us to stick on just for a bit in terms of how you do work the lure. Now, I'm not asking for your most secretive strategies here, but maybe just for some of the listeners in terms of how you do work the jig, because a lot of people when they're out, maybe if they're gar fishing or whiting fishing or whatever, they'll just throw a lure out, on a float or whatever and kind of let it do its thing, and it's just a bit of a thing on the side. If they get a squid, they're happy. But in terms of specifically targeting them, do you have a way that you like to work your jig every time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I tend to go by the rule of not having too many secrets. I like to help out as many people as I can. That's one of the things that I love fishing for, and sort of helping out others. But yeah, look, there's a few different sort of techniques that coincide with your experience level, and I guess how much you fish for squid or how much you fish in general. My sort of technique is a bit more advanced. It involves sort of casting your lure out, letting it sink. I let it sink to basically the bottom or almost the bottom. I then take in sort of any slack line that I might have, and then like whip my rod while taking in the slack line.
Yeah.
There's a few good videos that you see on YouTube from a lot of different sort of real good squid fish shows that explain this really, really well. I guess it's easy to see rather than to talk about. But other sort of methods that do work well. When I was sort of just getting into my squid fishing, I was using more of a simple strategy, and that was casting out, doing the same thing, reeling in my slack line once it sort of hit the lower parts of the water column or the bottom. And then I would just lift up, reel in the slack, lift up again. So it sort of mimics a prawn or a bait fish sort of emerging from the weed beds, and sort of starts to create your sort of darting action or your lift and sort of drop action, which is the most important thing for your squid, is just letting your squid jig sit, do nothing, let it sink, because most of the time you'll find that the squid will come up and eat your squid jig when it's on the drop.
Yeah, okay, fantastic, mate. Well, that's a good tip for all the listeners. Get onto YouTube, follow your channel, and we'll be able to. I'm sure that people will be onto them in no time, because they're. I was sort of waiting for somebody to sort of chime in here between the three of us and say the reason why we all love squid fishing is because of the taste of them. They're really good chewing. That's for sure.
Yeah, that too. I almost forget about that. But yeah, no, they're bloody good on the chew.
Absolutely. Right, mate, tell us about your kayak. I'm keen to hear about it. You said you've saved up some cash and bought a new one. Is that right? Or you?
Yeah. So I went down to the blokes at Binks Marine. They're the Rohdeys sort of specialists in South Australia and in Adelaide, I suppose. But I bought a Hobie Passport 12.
Beautiful.
So it's it's sort of like the base sort of model of kayak in the Hobie range, but doesn't mean that it's a base model in sort of fishing kayaks by any means. Yeah. It's still pretty bloody expensive, to be honest. But managed to go down there and pick up a pretty good deal on a Hobie, and I guess it's sort of like having a boat. You end up sort of sinking a bit too much money into it. So I've sort of decked it out with a sounder and with sort of a bunch of new fishing gear that coincides with the kayak, shorter rods, looking at targeting sort of whiting over squid and that sort of stuff, because I tend to sort of have a pretty good go at squid on the planks. But it's a big money pit, but it's a great tool for any fisherman that's sort of looking at starting at getting on the water. You're not paying rego on it, you're not paying tax on it. All you're sort of doing is lugging it around on your car, on a roof rack or a trailer if you have a trailer. But it's absolutely one of the most epic forms of fishing that I've managed to sort of delve into.
Yeah, it's not something we've done a lot of, but certainly there's plenty that do and have just as much, if not more, success than boat fishermen, I reckon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's something about the sort of smaller profile of a kayak that tends to spook squid less.
Yeah.
Or sort of spook other species less too on those sort of real slow days. But it's just something that I find really, really cool. And I guess it's a bit more of a added benefit that you're not paying for petrol and you're not sort of driving out 10 nautical miles to catch, a couple of lousy whiting. You're just sort of sitting in close, and that's sort of another challenge that I quite enjoy.
Bit of exercise, a bonus too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got the reservoirs. Like it definitely, like it opens up a whole range of different fishing opportunities. Like I reckon when you've got a yak as well. Like I reckon if you were into it, you'd have so many different options and different places that you'd be able to go.
Yeah, and it does open up that sort of reservoir fishing. I sort of haven't delved into it too much, but it's something that I sort of want to get into for sure. And just seeing all these tuna being caught close in is very, very tempting to sort of head out there on the yak and try my luck. But yeah, it's a few of the old Noah's Arks that are hanging around at the moment that's sort of deterring me.
Yes, we have seen a couple of kayak fishermen out of Victor in tuna seasons gone by, and certainly you'd have to keep an eye out for not only the sharks but also the weather picking up. But geez, if you pick the right day and you got one, it'd be pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I dare say that your kayak will be turning into a bit of a jet ski.
All right, Ollie, we also heard you, and along with the kayak fishing, you've been getting into your flats fishing, mate. You're out on the weekend having a crack?
Yeah, it's something that I've been like really, really interested in years gone by. It's like something that I've been doing as a kid, and sort of I've been trying to find my way in South Australia. But yeah, I managed to get onto a few nice fish over the York Peninsula. I reckon for the trip I would have got probably 30 yellowfin whiting and a nice sized mullet and a few other fish mixed in between. But yeah, it was really quite epic, and another form of fishing that I love, and just the visual aspects of it are really, really cool.
Geez, they're good chewing yellowfin too. Did you keep a few?
Oh, I got about sort of 25 or so, and knocked off a few nice fillets. They weren't big fish, but certainly not tiny ones either. But they were pretty nice on the chew. I rate them as one of the best fish in the ocean to eat, to be honest.
Yeah, they're good.
Did you get them on poppers or
No. I tend to keep it pretty simple. I haven't done a whole heap of. Sorry, that's my dog.
That's right, mate.
He wants to get on the podcast too.
Yeah, I know. He wants to have a bit of a feature on the potty as well. I don't have too much success on the old poppers and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
it's a lot of sort of chasing and not a lot of success for me. But I like to keep it simple and just stick to the old sort of bait method and doing all that sort of stuff. So that tends to get me the most success.
Beautiful, Ollie. The other thing we wanted to quickly touch on is your YouTube channel. We've seen plenty of links on your Instagram and some great pictures, but you've also got some really good videos. Tell us about the YouTube. You take your camera along when you're fishing and get some good footage?
I try to at least. It's something that I'm still sort of learning to do and learning how to be pretty good at. I know a previous member on the show, Jordan, SA Fishing, he's pretty handy with the old camera, so he's sort of really good to be around when fishing. So you probably noticed that a lot of the videos are involving him, and he's sort of around the place. But it's obviously a passion of mine, being able to share content with everybody else, and it is certainly a learning aspect. But I appreciate anybody that comes over there and sort of gives me any advice on how I can make my videos better. But I sort of tend to keep it pretty simple and target those bread and butter species like your whiting and your squid and your snook and even like garfish. I'm sort of planning on sort of having an episode dedicated to them. But it's a good sort of fun pastime for me.
All right. Good to hear, Ollie, about the video, and that's something that we probably got to work on a little bit too, Dizzy. We went out on the weekend with a cinematographer on the boat, and even with his phone, he was absolutely putting us to shame on the video, wasn't it? Yeah. Some of the angles he got and just the way he thinks about what's a good video and stuff that we wouldn't have even realised is pretty cool to learn from.
Yeah, they're different-minded, those sort of blokes, and I'd like to think that I'm all right with the camera and sort of using my angles to make my squid look nice and big, but
keep your arms long, extend the elbows.
Yeah, absolutely, straight arm.
All right, Ollie, before we let you go, we want to ask one more thing. Dizzy bangs on like a broken record about the bloody jetty down at Port Julia being the absolute pinnacle of squid fishing in the state. He then goes on to give us 57 terms and conditions, including tides and winds, and because every time we go there, we don't get one, and he's always got a reason why the tide was too low, or the wind was too much, or the seaweed was in the wrong spot. But he's adamant it's still the best squidding location. What's your go-to? Would you go Port Julie with Dizzy, or would you go somewhere else?
Oh, mate, I'd love to go to Port Julia. It's a location that I haven't really been to much, but I've heard some pretty good reports there in the past. But, yeah, like in terms of jetties on the Yorks, Point Turton is a favourite of mine. I'm not sure if you guys head down there too often. But
yeah, I fished there about a year ago. Had a weekend. I caught a few. It was good.
Yeah, I've done extremely well off there with a few other people. My best session there, I reckon I got 35 in the morning with my dad and my partner. So, yeah, did all right there, and that was probably all in about 3 hours work. So,
yeah, epic.
Yeah, Point Turton, made the trip to Port Victoria and did really well over there. Port Hughes, you can't really miss too much on the York Peninsula in terms of squidding, but Marion Bay is another one.
Some big ones there.
With the bigger
Marion
hoods.
Bay,
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, all right, Ollie, that's been really good to hear from you about all things squidding and fishing in general in South Australia. And thanks for coming on the podcast, mate. Before we leave you, give yourself a plug. Tell us what your Instagram and your YouTube is so people know where to find you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on too. Yeah, it's a real pleasure. I've been a long-time listener. So my squidding page on Instagram, Ollie_squidding_page. If you want to go check it out, I'd sort of drop some tips and tricks of sort of what I like to do to catch the most squid. And my YouTube is Ollie Squidding. So, yeah, head over there and give it a subscribe if you like. And, yeah, it should be pretty good.
Absolutely, mate. It's been fantastic to have you on. Thank you very much for all your insights. And, yeah, we'll look forward to hopefully catching you out on the water sometime soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, mate.
All right, Diz, that was great to hear from Ollie's Squidding. What did you think?
Excellent, Rohdy. Yeah, very, very, very knowledgeable fisher and keen to share his knowledge, which is good. And, yeah, I mean, I reckon there's nothing better than a good feeder squid.
Nah, there's not, Diz. And we didn't even really talk about it. We should have asked him what his favourite way to cook them is, maybe a recipe.
Yeah, we should have.
If you catch that many squid, you've got to have a good way of cooking them.
We missed a trick there, Rohdy. Anyway, we move on. Let's get into the fishing report because there's a bit to talk about. And it would be silly of us not to start with our epic day out on the water with Harry and Chris, of course. Was a huge day, Rohdy.
Yeah, Diz, let's do a quick overview. Obviously, I made a stuff up before and said we launch at Cape Jarvis. That was originally, I thought, the plan, but we did end up launching at Warina. We motored down to Cape Jarvis and we found the tuna early, Diz.
Yeah, we did. It was crazy because, yeah, it was an epic day, like I say. Real shout out to Harry for having us on his boat. Lovely 600C North Bank, but it's fully tricked out. It's a decked out 600C. It's a ripping boat. And yeah, we had a great day out there. Early start, like you said, Rohdy. So it was sort of 3:30 alarm. 3:45.
You were actually out the front of your house on time for the first time in my life.
Yeah, it was huge. It was awesome. Harry's place, 3:45, down at the ramp, like you say, jumped in, motored down to the Cape, and we were onto him early, and we'd basically got the bag by 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it was good, Diz. We got into them. We got the tuna done early, which was good. Not that we had fun on them, but it's a good thing to tick a species off early.
Yeah, and we sort of were all like looking at the clock like, far out, man, this is going to be epic. Like, we've smashed the tuna at 7 o'clock.
What do we do next?
Crazy. So, no, it was a great start to the day. Then
we should actually just touch on one more thing about the tuna. We did get the popper rod out.
Oh,
and then what happened is?
Here we go.
You lost one.
Oh, man, I'm still salty about
that. Mate, we had the
the
cinematographer there filming and you stuffed it up on the popper rod.
I'm so salty about that. I was first cast. It was first cast. Flicked it out there. Bang. Like, it was basically the first drag. It was a hookup. And I was like, bang, I'm on. And I had it on for a while. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't set the hooks well enough. I don't know what it was. But
anyway, that would have really topped off the day.
Harry was not happy with that bad fishing camera on his boat.
No, it wasn't good at all. Anyway, Diz, we got the bag. Then what do? We headed off to KI. We headed across Backstairs Passage.
Yep.
We're sort of out off Cape Willoughby, really, weren't we?
Yeah. No,
we passed Antechamber Bay, stopped in there for a bit of a look.
Yep, headed out to Spot X off Adelaide, so that was good. And we had an epic time. To begin with, we were sort of just did a few drifts.
Found some
You
bottom.
I
caught a big snapper early.
big snapper. Was peeling. That was peeling. That was taking some string. That
And that was in a lot of water, that snapper.
actually, I think it was first. Chris had a good run.
Yeah, he did.
Chris
Yeah,
had
yeah,
a
he
real
did. He
good
busted
run.
off.
Might have even been a double hookup.
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then that was sort of our first bit of action. Then
And
you
what about that
landed a
snapper?
good-
We should put that photo up, Diz, because do you remember seeing the head of it? You know how they bust into the coral and the reef and whatever else, and that's how they get those big lumps forming of sort of scar tissue, I suppose.
Yeah.
This one had like a red, raw, open wound there.
Yeah, must have smashed his head pretty recently.
So
I
I've
reckon,
never
on
seen that
something.
before.
But it did. It just it did. It looked like a big open gash on his head.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, ripping snapper. Obviously got it back down to the bottom. Which
Yeah, it
was
released
good.
well, didn't it? And then we moved on and had a crack at some nannies.
Yeah, had a crack at some nannies. Did a
No
bit
good?
of micro jigging. Not real good. I think Josh told it was his favourite wrasse spot.
We did nail a couple of rats.
It was his favourite wrasse spot. We pulled up a few shitties and had a great time, and the weather was just amazing. Like, it was such a great day out there. We sort of, the forecast was initially it was going to blow up a bit at lunchtime, and sort of just kept getting better and better as the days went on. And then, geez, when it came to the day, the weather just turned it on all day. It was just epic.
It did, Diz, and then sort of towards the end of the day, we went back to some grounds we'd fished a bit earlier on, and my God, the kingies turned up.
Yeah, the kingies fired, Rohdy.
We hooked a couple early amongst those snapper, but Jesus, they went hard late.
Yeah, they did, and just as soon as Harry running the Garmin gear, lovely, just had great footage of the bottom there, and we could just sound them up basically. And when we could sound them up, we were on like all of us. We had
triple hookups a few times.
Triple hookups a few times. Anybody that follows Harry on his Facebook page, you'll see a lovely little snippet he put up of a kingy that he probably shouldn't have caught on the rod he was using.
Nah, he had a little rod and reel, didn't he? He had the grappler gear, didn't he?
Yeah, he was fishing some light gear with some big sort of, probably two. I think most of us were fishing with 200, 250 gram jigs.
Yeah.
Getting them down there in about, good 40, 50 metres of water, jigging them up, and bang, that was epic.
And was it? I think it was the Shimano grappler, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
The overhead reel he was using.
Yep, lovely outfit.
And geez, that thing shouldn't have caught a kingfish, but it handled it like a dream.
Well, he got busted off to start with, didn't he?
And then he went for some heavier leader, I think, didn't he?
I think he was probably using just a bit too light leader, but huge amount of fun.
But those kingies went hard, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Even when you pulled up even those really small little rat ones, probably 40 centimetres, something like that. Even they were pulling pretty well.
They fought way harder than the tuna we were getting.
Yeah, for sure.
So
it was an epic day, Rohdy, and then we made our way back to Warina. Got home. Yeah, managed to keep a couple of tuna to keep some people at work happy. Bit of sashimi, always good. Love that first taste of sashimi of the season. It's always delicious.
Yes, Diz. It was a ripping day, and thanks again to Harry for taking us out.
Absolutely. So let's just quickly, we obviously touched on tuna. It's no surprise that people are catching them off the Cape and down at Warina. There's plenty of reports down there about that. Not too many are having a lot of success out of Victor.
I just don't know how many going for them out of Victor too.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I mean, I suppose a few might launch a Victor and head round to the bank to have a bit of a look and maybe do some bottom bouncing there while they're there. But, just heaps of boats. I mean, we've all seen the footage of the Warina boat ramp.
Yes, that was nuts.
So absolute
it was busy on the way in
chaos
really the other day too. But
I mean, clearly, you want to know what you're doing and obviously prepare yourself as best you possibly can so you can get in and out of the water as fast as you can while doing it safely. So that was good.
And we should also say, Diz, there are tuna off Marion Bay. I know Joey Virgin got some, I think, the last couple of days.
Joey's
and also
well.
plenty of reports off Port Lincoln and over on the Eyre Peninsula of tuna. So they are across the state.
Yep, plenty of places to get them, Rohdy. You're dead right. All right, Rohdy, whiting. They've been fishing well. You've done all right on them recently. We talked about that last episode.
No, we haven't, Diz. That was New Year's Day. I went out and on the drift out around the corner towards Port Vincent.
Yes.
And we did. We did well.
Yeah, nice.
Didn't quite get the bag, but my God, there were some big fish in there.
Yeah.
A couple of times we just drifted on. It was like bang, bang, and we thought they were snapper, and they were massive whiting.
Yeah, how good's that?
So, yeah, Jack and Ella and Jack's cousin Chris, we all went out and had a good day, and then we jumped in the water and did a bit of scalloping, I suppose you call it, don't you?
I suppose.
On the hooker line.
Caught some scallop high.
Got a big tub of scallops.
Yeah, good chewing scallops.
They were good.
Have you had some here?
I haven't any here, but I did bring some to you and your family at Black Point, on my way home. So you should be thankful for that, Diz.
Oh, well, you should be thankful for the bed that they bloody gave you for the night too, Chief.
Actually, that was a king bed, I reckon, wasn't it? That was a luxury, me and a king bed on my own.
Oh, is it good? No, I love scallops. They're good chewing, aren't they?
They are, Diz, and yeah, they were good fun. Shout out to my sister Ella, who was driving the boat while we were down on the hooker line, and she, for some reason, decided to drag us through the water at high speeds. Got us aquaplaning. That was fun.
Just be grateful she didn't chop the hose, mate.
Just be grateful she didn't put the bloody inlet next to the outlet and carbon monoxide us.
Yes. No, we shouldn't even joke about that.
Anyway, shout out to Jack for taking me out. Didn't want to take you out, but anyway, that's only sensible.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't want to go out with him anyway. We've got our own spots. Righto, Sharks at Goolwa and Middleton, Rohdy.
Yeah, Diz, we did talk about the shark picture at Saunders Bank, but they are in closer at Goolwa and Middleton, and I know people have been talking about all the crap that's getting blown out in the Murray mouth, and that's, the carp and I think people have said there's cow bodies going out and there's all sorts of stuff getting taken out.
Yeah, you can just imagine.
And that's just basically chumming it up for bronzies and gummies. And I saw someone saying they caught heaps of sharks off Goolwa Beach, and I think it's pretty hot fishing down there if you're into the sharking.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just makes sense. You can imagine all of that water just carrying all sorts of crap out there. So, yeah, certainly a good time to get into beach fishing or get down there to flick a few baits out if you're that way inclined. Rohdy, that just about sums up the report. I think that basically does it. So let's just get on to, of course, the tackle item of the week.
And Diz, we're going to touch on a few things here off Harry's boat.
Yeah, so we did talk about Harry's lovely North Bank 600. And
we also want to, before we get into the specifics, all the gear on that boat was great, wasn't it? The sounder worked beautifully, the Garmin, the rods and reels that we used. I've never used a Stella before.
Yeah, geez, that was good. Well,
he said it was, 7 or 8 years, and it was bloody smooth.
8 years old, it was smooth, far out. It was a lovely reel, that. Yeah, but he had it was, lovely boat, but just really well decked out, and he sort of thought of everything, really.
And we want to just touch on a few of the things that were smart on his boat, Diz, and what are you going to go with first?
Well, look, I'll let you take probably the main tackle item of the week for this one. But one thing I will say is, because we had quite a long day out on the water and Harry had a lovely pie warmer, that's not the tackle item. He treated us to a couple of pies. But before you eat anything on the boat, you really do want to get that stench off your hands, because you've been handling fish, or you might be handling bait or whatever it is. And we've been real firm believers in the Dettol wipes for a long time. Just wipes sort of, and they've done the trick. They've been all right. But Harry just had a pump bottle of hand wash.
Oh, and it really was good, wasn't it? It was underrated.
And he was proud to show it. He's like, hand wash down here, boys. Hand wash down here. And it works so well.
And it just reeks of experience, doesn't it?
It does. It absolutely reeks of experience. He's like, I'm not stuffing around with Dettol wipes.
And you want to know the bad thing about all this? Do you want to know what I bought last week?
What? Another pack of
Dettol
wipes.
Of
course you did. They're yours, mate. I'm going down and buying the most fancy hand wash you can possibly think of. I'm not going near your Dettol wipes.
Anyway, Diz, the hand wash was a highlight. We should probably be more serious and talk about all the excellent stuff we used. But no, we're focusing on the hand wash. And the other thing we're going to talk about is the car fridge on the boat.
Oh, yeah. Such a good shout. Lovely to have nice, fresh, cold drinks, lunch, whatever it might have been. You want to keep, you're obviously not throwing your fish in there, because you just want to keep it non-baity and not smelly and all the rest of it. But it was great to have it in there.
But that made the day great too, didn't it? Cold drinks, didn't have to worry about ice to keep all that cold. It's really convenient. It tucked away up the front of his north bank and fitted in perfectly.
Yep, fantastic, well tricked out boat. He has thought of everything, and again, huge shout out to Harry for having us out on the boat for the day. Rohdy, that wraps up today's episode, mate. That has got us done. We've been through a fair bit. Of course, anybody out there listening, if you haven't entered the comp, then you are doing yourself a disservice. You need to enter. The prizes are epic, so get around it.
Exactly right, Diz. Get on the Instagram and the Facebook. Closes on January 29th. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Thanks for Ollie's Squidding, Ollie Wood, for coming on the show.
Yep, great to have him. We'll look forward to next episode. Going to be a good one.
See you guys.
See ya.
Rohdy and Diz hope you enjoyed today's episode of All the Gear But No Idea. Keep up to date by liking and sharing us on Facebook and Instagram. And you can subscribe on all the major podcast platforms. Until next time, good luck fishing.